Okay, I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Marilyn Hartman. I'm a volunteer, and this is next to me, at least on my screen on that side, is Jonathan Riley, the organizing director. You want to introduce yourself, Jonathan? We get
Yeah,
started.
I'm the organizing director. That's good enough. Yeah, we're working 7 days a week doing all the stuff, voter registration, phone banks, and canvassing.
Great, great. Yeah, yeah. So if you want in the chat, if you want to introduce yourself, say what precinct you're from if you're in Durham, and if you're not in Durham, what town you're coming from, and how do you feel right now about talking to voters? If you want to answer a little question, how does it, when you think about talking to voters, how do you feel about it? We'll just survey the room, so to speak, about here, about that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan to tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Durham Democrats and volunteers.
Yeah, you can sign up for all of our. I'll put. You can sign up for all of our volunteer events. You go to durhamdemocrats.org and click Get Involved. Um, I'll put this link in here. durhamdemocrats.org/volunteer events this is our volunteer calendar. But you can find it by going to durhamdemocrats.org and clicking Get Involved and then volunteer events. So you can find it by clicking around a little bit, but it has, we're working right now. I'll have soon all the September events on the calendar. So we're getting that filled up, but we'll have events every day. So we do um, voter registration events that have limited slots because if you're in front of the library, maybe only 3 people can sit there behind a table. So we try and do as many of those as we can to give as many opportunities as we can. But anyone can come. I mean, we can have as many people as possible at our door knocking events, and that's a really great way to be targeted. We go to people's houses. We know who the targets are. I want to just go over what our goals are for canvassing right now. And our canvassing goals may shift as we get a little closer to the election. We'll be more specific about this is your closest early voting site, and what ID are you going to bring, that sort of thing. But right now we're introducing people to the down ballot candidates and trying to get people signed up for reminders to vote. So just we have a script that's a really great outline, and if it is your first time ever canvassing, it's okay to just stick to the script. But this is a little bit more of an advanced training for once you get a little more comfortable how to let the conversation breathe a little bit. But let me just do the 101 training first on what our current script is. So you'll have the person's name that you're trying to talk to, but you want to talk to whoever answers the door. And after you've talked to whoever answers the door, then after the conversation, you can say, okay, I have a list of registered voters as Linda here, but we'll just start out with, hi, I'm Jonathan, a volunteer with the Durham Democrats. What's your name? Nice to meet you. And just notice if they're Linda, the person on the list, or not. They won't all be named Linda. I just pulled that out of the air. So then our message is many of our personal rights are on the line this election year. And we're going to mention the stakes in the governor's race and in the state Supreme Court race. The Republican candidate for governor has promised if he wins, he'll pass a total abortion ban with no exceptions. And the Democratic candidate, Josh Stein, would veto extreme policies like that. So that reproductive rights is what the state party tells us, their research says, is most likely to drive turnout for Democrats and persuade people to vote for Democrats. And then we're really emphasizing voting the whole ballot. So you know how important it is to vote for Democrats in all the down ballot races, right? This year we need to re-elect State Supreme Court Justice Allison Riggs. He'll put a stop to partisan gerrymandering. Allison Riggs is also really important for reproductive rights, by the way. Her opponent he's a lower court judge right now, but he believes that he believes that life begins at conception as a constitutional matter, which would mean that like abortion is banned by the Constitution. And also that would affect IVF and several forms of birth control. So then we're asking this survey question, which you'll record in your phone, which will teach you how to use our little canvassing app if you come out canvassing with us. do you support Democrats up and down the ballot in 2024? But then we really do want to get them to talk. So it's not just you talking, it's a conversation. So these are some questions that might start a conversation. If they're a strong Democrat, it makes sense to say, oh, great, yeah, why are you motivated to vote this year? And get them to articulate them for themselves. And that's not the answers we don't record in our data. We just want you to have a conversation with them. Or you
How
might,
was
maybe
families up?
if they're less enthusiastic, it might make more sense to say, well, what issues are you thinking about as a voter? What would motivate you to vote if you were going to vote? Something like that. And so at this point, we do want to let this breathe a little bit and get them engaged in a conversation. So your goal is to listen and be empathetic, and then by being empathetic and agreeing with them on what you can't agree with, you're showing that you share the same values as them and demonstrating that you, as someone who shares the same values as them, is voting for Democrats. So that's really the key to persuasion, either persuading someone to turn out or persuading someone to vote for your candidate, is listen and don't interrupt. You make them feel heard is the most important thing. People sometimes want to feel heard more than they want to be talked at. And then to empathize and agree where you can, and then say why you, as someone who is shares their same values, is voting for Democrats this year. And so this part here takes a little bit more improvisation because you're responding to what they're saying. So that's what Marilyn's really going to focus on, and not just at this point in the conversation, but kind of throughout the script, to let a little conversations come into this outline of a script. And then we're asking voters to use their phones to scan a QR code that puts a one-time reminder in your phone for early voting this fall. So if you're canvassing with us, you'll have a QR code that has, if they scan it, it creates a calendar event in their phone with a notification attached to it, so that on the first day of early voting, they'll get a pop-up that says early voting begins today. And if they open it, it'll show the early voting locations and times and all the Democrats on their ballot. And then while we're there, we might as well ask if they're interested in getting updates on volunteer opportunities, and get their phone number and email if they do want updates on volunteer opportunities. So those are the goals of the county, of the canvassing with the county right now. Once we get into real GOTV, we'll get more specific about where your polling location is and what your plan is, when you plan on voting, and what your what ID you have to vote right now. And I'll also say there's a couple different campaigns in town right now, and we do our best to coordinate. I'm with the county party. I'm with the Durham County Party. There also is the coordinated campaign, which are the Kamala Harris campaign. So if you end up signing up for a canvass with them, they may have a different script. So but this is a pretty good outline for what we're doing right now. But just know that if you sign up for different canvases, you may get used to have slightly different emphasis or slightly different goals. But I don't want to take up too much time. So that's all I really wanted to, let's see. Yeah. And so we also, though, of course, we have phone banks on Mondays and Wednesdays that are focused on recruiting volunteers. So that's a little bit different of a conversation. You're calling people who've expressed, like all these people that said they do want to get volunteer updates. If you sign up for a phone bank, we'll call those people and get them signed up for a specific event. And then we have a limited number of slots for voter registration. We have as many events as we can sustain on the calendar right now, but those sometimes have limited slots because there are only so many people can be at one site doing voter registration at a time, unlike a canvass where just as many people can show up as possible. Yeah. So let me pass it back to Marilyn here. Well, I had a question in the chat here about what locations there are where we're doing voter registration. We're doing it at a couple of the libraries every week, Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. We're doing it at the farmers market every Saturday. And I'm working right now to get voter registration set up at Durham Tech and NCCU. I'm training some captains who can run those. Duke is being a little territorial about letting people get on their campus. So I have somebody, Julia Borberly Brown is working on this, but it's probably not going to be officially with the Durham Democrats because they're picky about it being nonpartisan at Duke. They're being real protective about it. So they think they're going to do their own voter registration stuff, but I want as many tables as we can, but we're working on making that happen anyway. Okay, sorry. Now I'll give it back to Marilyn. Unless you got kicked off. Marilyn looks like she's kicked off. Okay. Okay. Well, her computer rebooted. I need her to run the rest of this because she's a real star at done a ton of canvassing, and this is her show. So I really want to let her take the lead on this. Here she's come back now. There you go. Okay, we got Marilyn back. I'll pass it back off to you.
Thank you. I do not know how that happened, but it did happen. My computer decided to reboot itself. Okay. Give me a second here to get reoriented. I have to open things up again. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jonathan, for carrying on. Okay, so yeah, so let's talk about conversations with voters. Let me just one more thing here. Up the chat so I can see it. So yeah, so Jonathan laid out what our goals are for canvassing right now, and if you canvass with some other organization, you're going to have a different set of goals. I canvass with a bunch of different groups, so it doesn't. We'll just use this as an example, and because we hope a lot of you will get to chance to canvass with the Democratic Party in Durham. So if you look at the script, I love the comment from one of you who said she'd get creeped out if someone came to her door. So part of my goal is to change your mind about that. But if you look at the script, it's definitely a set of talking points, right? You see a set of talking points. It's really clear what the canvasser is trying to accomplish. The canvasser wants to talk to you, find out whether you are going to support Democrats. They want to make sure that you as a voter know about down ballot and the importance of down ballot races. And voters may not even know what that means, and wants to assess how much you're going to support Democrats up and down the ballot. That's sort of the goal of the canvasser. And in addition to that, you're going to try to see if someone's really enthusiastic, if they'll volunteer, and also give them a reminder to vote. So there's something that you're offering them. But I try to make conversations feel like normal conversations, like conversations I might have with a stranger or somebody I know a little bit, or even somebody I might know well who I'm not used to talking to about politics. So yeah, so how do we do that with a script like that? So first thing I always think about when I'm talking to voters is how I engage them. On the phone, you've got like 30 seconds to engage because they can't see you, they can't see your smile, they can't see your body language, they can't look you up and down and decide whether you're someone they're going to talk to or not. But canvassing, you have all those advantages. You can be friendly looking, you can smile, you can look unscary, you can have your Durham Democratic button on. There should be lots of cues that people could look at to help you start that connection, but you still have to use words. And when I see the script that says, hi, I'm Marilyn, a volunteer with the Durham Democrats, that's where I start. I always introduce myself first. If I'm with a partner, I'm going to be introducing my partner as well. And this is my partner. I was out the other day with a friend named Kim. This is Kim, and we're both volunteering with the Durham Democrats. And I like to say, how are you? I don't usually, Jonathan has a good reason for asking people what their name is, because he wants to make sure that the person that he's talking to matches the person on his phone that he's supposed to be talking to. I think that's his reason anyway. and I do get to that, but I really want to just sort of introduce myself first and make sure the person feels like I'm a safe, potentially safe person to talk to. So I like to ask how people are doing, and when you do that to people, if they don't really know you or they're not really warmed up to a conversation, they'll say fine or okay, something really brief, and I just smile and say great, and then say happily about how I'm doing, like, oh, it's I'm. Uh, I live in Durham. I really am out here to talk to other people in my community. Don't really get to meet people outside of my own family and friend circles very much. So really, that's probably a little too much. But that's the kind of I try to give the feel that um, I'm a community member and that I'm there not just as a representative of the Democratic Party. In fact, I don't know if you can see my T-shirt. I wore a NAACP T-shirt today. It says nonpartisan but political as hell, and I haven't worn that on a Democratic Party canvas yet, but to me it conveys the message that I'm not here just as a person to spout Democratic Party talking points. I'll have my Durham Democrats button on me, and I'll introduce myself as being with representing the volunteer with the party. But I want to really make sure people know that I'm a real person, that if I definitely personally I'm definitely going to vote for Democrats up and down the ballot, but I'm doing it because they align with my values and who I am, and not because I have signed on as a Democrat for life and I'm going to do whatever, vote for whatever the Democratic Party does, or agree with everything about the Democratic Party is. So I like to try to, in the conversation, come across as a real person, as a person who's there to talk, as a person who's there to listen. I said talk, but I really should like to emphasize listening more than talking. Listening to people, because you know people don't get to be listened to very much. Even if you're among your friends, it's pretty often that friends like to, or at least some of your friends who like to jump in and talk. And sometimes it's hard for other people to get a word in edgewise, and people have a hard time listening. People are sort of can get more enthusiastic sometimes about talking than listening. So I think when you do this kind of work, when you're doing outreach, you have to try to reverse that tendency of ours and really become a good listener. Uh, Even silences are good. Sometimes I'm silent for a moment while I'm trying to think what to say next. Sometimes I'm silent after I ask a question and I'm waiting for the other person to figure out what they want to say. And being a good listener also means responding to everything someone else said, the voter says. And you want to, I try to respond in some way that conveys both affirmation, yes, I hear you, yes, I heard that, I heard what you said, and empathy, picking up on any feelings they're expressing and expressing empathy for that. So I want to listen, throughout. I'm obviously have some control, a lot of control over the conversation in its direction, but along the way, I want to be listening a lot and responding to everything the voter says before I move on to my next talking point. And that takes practice. I have done a lot of canvassing in the last and I often get paired with new canvassers. And one of the things that I noticed first is new canvassers are always a little nervous and not sure. They want to watch a little bit until they're ready to jump in. And when they jump in, they really are thinking about what it is they want to convey to the person. Why they have all these ideas in their heads about why they're there and why it's important to vote for Democrats, and that's great. But you can get caught up in that when you're really new to canvassing and have a harder time just being responsive to the voter, and that is normal. So if you're going to be a new canvasser, you can kind of expect to do that, to sort of have that in your head, like, what am I going to say next, and be really concerned about that. And it takes a little while to relax enough to be able to listen to the voter and respond to them. You want to you want to overcome your tendency to talk too much and your fear of not knowing what to say. It's kind of a funny paradox there. So when I start a conversation, I try to be friendly. I try to say, do a little kind of introduction of myself, and but I don't ask someone permission to talk to them. You know, I don't ask them if they have some time to talk. I just jump in. If you give people too easy an out from the very beginning, they'll take it, because guess what? Talking to a stranger at your door is not comfortable. Hopefully, it's not creepy, but um, uh, it is uncomfortable. I mean, how often do we have conversations like this? It's a contrived situation. So, uh,
Can I ask a question?
sure, please jump in.
So I have canvassed before and I have used the scripts before. And I just want to clarify that the creepy thing isn't people coming to the door to talk to neighbors about why they are supporting Democratic candidates. The creepy thing is when somebody shows up at my door and says, "And what's your name?" or "And what pesticide company are you using, if I may ask?" And we have a lot of scams in our neighborhood.
Mhm.
So I'm already I'm just thinking about being on the receiving end of this.
Yeah.
I'm already primed to not trust whoever's at the door. So somebody like Marilyn, if you came to my door and said, "Hi, I'm Marilyn and I'm canvassing for the Durham Dems," I'd be like, "Yay, this is a friend."
Okay.
To start with. But if the next thing you did was ask me what my name was, I would be disturbed that you wanted that information, because you don't need to know my name in order to have a conversation with me. And I also know that on these lists, we're actually targeting people whose names were like, when I canvassed before with a friend, we were looking for someone, we were at places where there were multiple residents with different names. And so we would get people whose names weren't on the list and happily talk to them. But, the software was not super at receiving that information. So we would put that in the comments section or something like that. But, so like if you arrive at my door expecting to talk, if you say, "Hey, is Liz there?" then that would probably creep me out less than if you ask me for information that I'm proprietary about.
Okay.
That's just to clarify that.
Yeah, and you never know how people are going to react. So, I tend not to ask people what people's names are. In fact, I'm more likely to, since I have it in my minivan on my phone, I'm more likely to say, "Is this and then like the Paley residence rather
exactly.
But Jonathan has his own style. I think it's
you got to get their name at some point to record, because we're trying to record whether a specific voter is supporting Democrats or sign them up to volunteer. So we need to know whether we talk to most people who are willing to talk to you will give you their name, but it is like it's better to do, I think, in just the friendliest, normalist way possible, like you're introducing yourself to them,
So the friendliest, I mean, what we ended up doing in this particular situation was asking people if they'd be interested in receiving our precinct newsletter or volunteering for Durham Dems. And so we would just ask them to write down their name and contact information.
You can,
at that point.
If you're really worried about it, you can also save that question for a little bit into the conversation once you built up a rapport. It's really natural. "I'm Jonathan, a volunteer of the Durham Democrats," like Marilyn said, "And how are you doing today?" "Oh, great. Oh, yeah. And I like your petunias," or whatever. And then, "Oh, yeah. What's your name? Nice to meet you." You can do that. You can save it for 60 seconds in once you built up a little rapport, if you're more comfortable doing that. But I don't get that many people that refuse to tell me their first name. I mean,
when I did polling before, or not, what canvassing before, we have the list of names and we know who we were supposed to speak to. So to me, it's a little easier to say, "Are you so-and-so?" rather than "What's your name?" If you ask me what's my name, I'm not going to tell you. But if you seem to already know my name, then I'm more likely to confirm that's who I am. You see the difference?
That's a fine way to do that. I've canvassed that way before too. The reason it's written this way is because we would like to, even if it's not the person on the list, to talk to them just the same. Because if they're willing to talk to you, that's honestly the biggest barrier, just getting people to answer their door and talk to you. So if you say, if you say, "Is Carol there?" and then you're not Carol, then they're kind of like, but it's even an accident that you're talking to me at all. So I don't think I need to talk to you. It's like a little bit harder to talk to them anyway. So that's the reason it's written like that. But I'm not against doing it the way you described, is asking for a specific person. And it's not that hard to say. I have a list of registered voters as Carol Home.
So
Explain why. Yeah.
is this going to be targeted? I mean, you know, when you walk to a house, who resides in this house, or is it just door to door?
No, yeah, we're not going to every door. So yeah, we're targeting folks who we believe will vote for Democrats, but don't vote in every election, or people who do vote in every election, but they look to us to be people that might be swing voters. Or maybe they're not actually swing voters, but we just don't know how they're going to vote. So
Yeah.
but excluded is anybody who we're pretty sure are voting for Republicans.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
see a Trump sign on the yard, there's no need to knock, I would
Well,
presume.
they won't be. They probably
the
are very
rule.
unlikely to be on your list. And when you canvass, you have all the information on the phone, so you actually, unless I mean, last a couple weeks ago I canvassed and someone had just moved in the day before, so I didn't have the right person.
Okay, well, that's,
But
you know, because I had the question, and I guess it's still a legitimate question. If you knock on the door and there's a hostile person that answers the door, you just walk away, or
yes,
you know, when
exactly. Yeah,
they see a Democrat button or a Harris hat or something like that, then
yeah. You don't want to.
just
You don't. Yeah.
walk away and
Be as unmemorable as possible, so they won't.
yeah.
They won't. It won't lodge in their brain that there's an election. And
Yeah, okay, that's a good answer, John.
just be as unmemorable. Just sorry to bother you. Thanks for being
Yeah.
polite. I'm glad we can agree to disagree. See ya.
Well, I'd rather stand there and argue with them, but
I know. Yeah.
Is that-
Oh, yeah. It's a waste of
It will.
time, and it will backfire because it
I
will
know,
harden their belief that they need to go out and vote.
I
Yeah.
understand that.
So the other thing I was going to say is that when you're canvassing, you have information on the phone, not only about who's supposed to be living at that house, but also their age, gender, and how they're registered. So it'll say if they're unaffiliated or Democrat. I've even knocked the doors of a couple libertarians. I actually, I think I've even knocked on doors Republican, but as you said, that like Jonathan said, they're Republicans who tend to be swing voters, or you know, every once in a while you come across somebody who says, I'm really a Democrat, but I'm registered as a Republican so that I can vote in, because I want to vote in their primary against somebody or something.
Yeah, we found 2 Republicans the other day that were voting for Democrats. Yeah, our list is pretty good. Even if their registration is Republican, we have a ton of data to pick people out. And so if we're knocking on the door of someone whose registration says they're Republican, like they donated to Planned Parenthood, and that's why we think they might be a swing voter, or as just as an example. Okay, I'll quit talking.
That's okay. Yeah. Marketing research is great.
Okay, now another question.
Go ahead.
Do you try to pair people up that same age, same sex, or because would suspect I'm one of the older, and it doesn't matter to somebody like me who I go with.
Well, we put people in pairs, and we try and do somebody who has more experience canvassing with someone who has less experience canvassing, is how we try and make pair groups.
Yeah. If you bring someone you want to canvass with, that's okay too. But if there are 2 people who have never done it before, it's good to break them up and split them up and have them canvass with somebody who's more experienced. And then you can, and at the beginning, you don't even have to be, if you're new, you don't have to do any talking. You can just be the silent canvasser and help out and be supportive, and then jump in when you want to. So I actually do a lot of preparation before I canvass. I know you can show up for a canvass, get to look at the script, try saying it, try reading it out loud to your partner, and then go off. But I find that if I have more time to think about it, I do better. And certainly when I'm doing phone banking, because you can pace yourself better. I take some time to look over the script, and I want to read over the script so that I'm really familiar with it, and then decide also the parts that I can't possibly say. Sorry, Jonathan, and And just really also to be clear about the goal. So, I always say, even if I don't honor the words of the script, I always try to honor the goals of the script. And so what we're trying to get out of the script, that's important. In this case, we've already gone over the script. I don't need to remind you. And then I also like to just think about like why I'm out there ahead of time. Like, why am I out there reaching out to voters? Why do I care? And in a personal way, yes, I care about democracy, but I need to make it more personal about than that. Why do I care about democracy? Or if there's an issue that you think that you're likely to want to bring up because to show how it's important to you, like why is abortion important to you? So for me,
Yeah.
it's my my partner.
Well, to me, being a Vietnam veteran, then that's really important to me. And I could talk, not a lot, but I could talk quite well. I could talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
But
Okay, well, be careful about talking too much. I mean, I think we need to know why we're there, but we're not there to, it's fine, bring it in, but just really pay attention to the social cues. If, you really want to be listening to the person, and if they say, yeah, I'm a vet too, and you had some exchange
that's
about
right, a common
great.
bond. Yeah.
Right,
Well,
that's
now,
great. But
are there, I mean, like the abortion issue or healthcare issue and things like that, how deep
well, yeah, I
do
think
you
you have
want, or do you not want that to be a discussion of issue by issue?
it's not a matter of going through all the issues. It's a matter of bringing up issues that you think might be relevant. If I'm talking to a young woman, I might bring up abortion and ask
Yeah.
how they feel about it, or maybe any woman. Not that men don't care about that, but I try to find, people also often talk about struggling to pay bills. So, there's a lot we can say about that. Yes, we know, besides a lot of empathy and understanding, yeah, a lot of people are struggling and just have hard time paying the bills, and medical costs are really, really high. And it'd be great if we could bring them down. And if we can work in the, Democrats are wanting to bring those down, whereas the Republicans have no interest in that. So you have to. And it's hard to teach us in a way because there's nothing really specific that you're going to be able to say that's off the script, but you just have to try something and get a reaction from the voter and see how it goes, which is both scaring but also makes it more like
Yeah.
a normal interaction. So I think a lot of people could relate around being a veteran, but maybe if someone has had no military experience and doesn't have it in their family, maybe not so much. So you're just going to
Or
have
they
to,
may have been a protester during that time.
or they may have been a protester, right? Well,
Yeah, well,
yeah, but even protesters change over time. That's many
oh,
years.
absolutely.
Um,
Well,
yeah, but I do try to think
veterans.
of a story like, for me, the abortion issue, I'm never going to have an abortion. I'm in my 70s. We're not ever going to have, but my partner's grandchildren are thinking about, one of my partner's granddaughters is married and they're thinking about children, and she has a medical disorder that could make pregnancy very complicated. So in a world where we have no abortion rights, that affects all the kind of medical care pregnant women get. So that's really scary to me. So that makes it, I can think of a way to make it personal, even if it's not just about me, whether it's for your
Yeah.
children or your grandchildren or your nieces or nephews or whoever it is. So, yeah, someone else had a question?
No, I was just going to say, in response to like going through the list, we had a conversation with somebody who said they probably weren't going to vote for Democrats because they were so ticked off about Palestine and Israel. And we did not try to persuade them of anything, but we had a conversation. I mean, we just we said, can you tell us more about that and why you feel that way? And because we're interested in that too. And so it was a listening opportunity. And I hope that, just being willing to listen and have a conversation where we weren't trying to change a
Right.
mind.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Was
advice.
probably a better approach.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to voters who are about Gaza and also just about people who are not so excited about voting. And you really have to listen rather than try to persuade. And sometimes the thing is when people I don't know about in every case, but sometimes when you talk to someone, it turns out to be more complicated than they say at first. So they say, like, I'm against abortion, so I don't want to, I don't like the Democratic platform. But sometimes it can be more nuanced than that. Like, after you ask them why they feel that way about abortion, and then if you ask them about what if somebody is 13 years old and been raped, what do you feel about? And then usually, I have never found an example where people don't come up, at least with conflicted feelings about it. And conflicted feelings can, once you see those conflicted feelings in yourself, it may be harder to take a strong stance. And that's what conversations are about.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I've been asked a lot of questions.
Well,
Carol.
I was just going to ask a question about the whole Palestine and Gaza situation, where is there a way that you can acknowledge how a person feels about that situation, but make them think about the consequences of, well, so what if I understand your feelings, but if you don't go this way, then and you go the other way, have you thought about those consequences? Is that a fair way
I think so.
not to actually tell them you're wrong, but to leave it in their minds, that thought that they need to think beyond that single issue?
Right, yeah.
Which can be true of any single issue, but
I mean, yeah. So you first listen and make them feel heard. And really on an issue like Gaza, if you were to persuade them, it would be because then you like completely agreed with them. I mean, so you like listen, and then like you need to prove that, yeah, you also believe that what's happening in Gaza is a humanitarian catastrophe, and Netanyahu is out of control. I mean, you to actually persuade them, you need to establish you literally like just agree with them. And then you're not trying to tell them why they should vote for Democrats. You're trying to say, and so as someone who like agrees with you, this is why I'm voting for Kamala Harris. And I mean, the things that you can say about that, and you're not trying to walk away with them in the bag where they said like, yes, I'm now going to put a yard sign in my front lawn. You're trying to get them to walk away thinking like, oh, well, there's someone who agrees with me, who I liked and got along with, and they were voting for Democrats. But yeah, I mean, Trump. So some things you could say, Trump has told donors that like he would set the Palestinian cause back by 30 years, and give the West Bank to Israel. I mean, these are some things. So he'd actually be worse on the, and we're really hopeful that Kamala is really emphasizing a ceasefire and ending the suffering of the Palestinians. We're really hoping when she gets in office, she'll have a different tact. But you don't walk away with him in the bag.
Right. And you can, just to reiterate something that Jonathan said in passing, was I think it's also fine to say, well, I'm supporting Kamala because I think we can put some more pressure on her than we've been in the past, if you believe that. And also, I think that things would be a lot worse for Palestinians if the other guy, if the guy gets elected. Yeah. Well, I think it's fine to say that as long as you're not trying to discredit their point of view.
Right. I want to get back to the actual canvassing. How long do you go out and canvass for?
Okay. Is it? Okay. Well, let's get back to canvassing. I do want to answer. There's a question in the chat about canvassing versus text banking. I think they're different animals. I think it seems that the different methods of reaching voters, whether it's canvassing, phone banking, writing postcards and letters, text banking, they complement each other, and there's almost no campaign that uses just one. So you try different ways, and some ways you reach people better than others. Sometimes postcards work for the people who we don't have good phone numbers for them, so we can't text them or call them. Texting works. Sometimes young people are more akin to texting, but I've text banked. You can send 1,000 texts, and it's really quick and easy, so it's sort of effective. But you're like to do it that way, but you get a really small percentage of responses. I mean, that's not a bad thing because it's so easy to send so many. So I think you're just using different outreach methods and seeing what works. And social media, there's, outside the scope of what we're talking about here, there are huge social media campaigns that are working to specifically target young people, parents, mothers, different groups, and get those Latinos, get those audiences. So I think they all work together in coordination. And canvassing is kind of the gold standard of most effective way, but it's also hard to scale up, and you miss people, and there are people who live in apartment buildings you can't access, and you can't so there are lots of reasons that canvassing by itself is not going to do it.
Can you say a little bit more about, did you say postcards? I didn't know that they still did that.
Oh my gosh, there are huge postcard campaigns, and Democrats in Durham are sending postcards.
We've exceeded our postcarding budget right now. So we've written 10,000 postcards that we're going to send out right before the election. But if you are interested in postcarding, you can go to Postcards to Swing States is a campaign that's doing that now. Okay. But Marilyn, we should, so we don't get too far behind, maybe we should move on.
No, it's okay, because I was leaving some time later for discussion, so I'm fine. But I'm just going to give a short answer, Frank, to your question, and Jonathan and I want to do a couple of role plays for you and then send you into breakout groups to try for yourself. So canvassing conversations can be, real conversations can be as short as 2 or 3 minutes and can go 15 or 20 minutes.
No, I meant how long is the whole process from do we show up to where you go home? Is it all day or 2 hours?
They're usually 2 hours or so of canvassing.
But if you have to go early, that's okay too. So yeah, they're 2 hours. If you're willing to complete your list and you're willing to knock a little later, then it's 2.5. But we're asking people for about 2 hours. And if you want, if you can't do it for 2 hours, then you do as much as you can.
Yeah, and that does not include your travel time. So you have to travel to the place and.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jonathan and I want to do a couple unrehearsed role plays. We've talked sort of about the general idea of what we want to what the conversation is about, but we haven't rehearsed this. So the first one, Jonathan's going to be the voter in both of these. He's going to be a solid Democrat, but still somebody who needs to be talked to. So are you ready, Jonathan?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to knock on his door.
Hello?
Hi there, my name's Marilyn. I'm a volunteer with the Durham Democrats. How are you doing today?
Oh, that's all right. We're just watching the game.
Okay, what game's that?
Oh, whatever one is on right now. I shouldn't. Yeah, it's Duke versus UNC. Let's say, I don't know. Duke versus somebody big.
Okay,
but it's okay. It's T-vote. It's DVR, so it's paused.
Okay, great.
Well, I fast forward through the commercials. Sometimes I fast forward and just watch the plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for answering the door. I appreciate that. And is this the Riley residence? Are you Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm Jonathan.
Okay, great. So we're out talking to voters today about this big election coming up. Been hearing a lot about it, I'm sure, and wanting to check in with voters about how you're feeling about the election. What's your thoughts? How are you feeling?
Oh, well, we're, Trump is just tired of seeing this guy. I liked him when we watched The Apprentice, but I just had no idea what a kook he was.
Well, it seems to me like with this race with Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, and a lot of our personal rights are on the line this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I see stuff on social. I usually get my news out of social media, but yeah, they want to regulate. I saw one meme that said they want to regulate our bedroom, but not AR-15. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm right with you there. I mean, gun safety, women's rights, reproductive rights. I heard Kamala Harris, a clip from Kamala Harris asking some man if he ever heard of any legislation that had to do with the control of men's bodies, and the guy. So yeah. So I'm right with you there. And in North Carolina, we have a governor's race with Josh Stein is our Democrat running against Mark Robinson, and Mark Robinson is one of these very extreme Republicans who also is just for a total abortion ban, no exceptions. Have you been paying attention to that race at all?
You know, I think I saw a commercial about him. Yeah, a commercial about him being against abortion, which we're yeah, we're pro-choice here, but I usually don't. I mean, I'm embarrassed, but in the past, I really haven't voted in a lot of the down. I don't like to vote for people I don't know about. You know, I just like I'll let somebody else who's done more research than me fill those out. So we'll vote for you know, Camilla, whatever her name is. It's Kamala, I know, I'm pretending. But I, you know, I have to, I guess I gotta do research or something if I want to do
I get that. It's going to be a really long ballot. We have governor's race, we have court races in North Carolina, we have state legislative. Yeah, it's a whole list of people, and it's harder to find some information out about them. Is that what you find?
Well, I've been lazy about it, to be honest. But like I said, I get a lot of my stuff from social media, and it's mostly about Trump. Mostly memes making fun of Trump is usually really that's mostly what I've seen.
Well, let me tell you about, for instance, one of the races that we think is really important are the judicial races. We have a North Carolina Supreme Court that got taken over by the very conservative right-wing Republicans a few years ago, and they're voting, all their rulings are against voting rights. They're making it much harder to vote. They're agreeing with the state legislature about making it harder to vote. They're agreeing with the state legislature about not funding public schools. They're agreeing with the legislature about no access to abortion. And so we're trying to move the courts in the other direction. So Allison Riggs is a great candidate for North Carolina Supreme Court. Hope, get her on your radar. And there are three candidates. I can't even say I know their names, for the Court of Appeals that are all Democrats who are really important. So I would just, personally, I'm voting for them because I care about all those issues.
Okay. Yeah. I'll have to. Yeah. What's her name? What'd you say her
name was?
Marilyn.
Marilyn. Yeah.
No, the court. The
Allison
judge.
Riggs. What's her name?
Allison Riggs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's been a civil rights attorney her whole life, and she is great. And then the other ones, I don't know I don't remember their names. I just know I'll recognize them, and I know to vote for the Democrats because they will stand up for our constitutional rights.
Yeah. We'll send we'll send everybody with literature that has all their names on it, by the way. So
good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And so we're, between that and just trying to elect somebody who's going to care about education, Mo Green for superintendent of education, and you need a Democratic attorney general. It's just the Republicans are so extreme; they're just not the right people for our state right now.
Yeah, you got me there. You got me there.
Yeah. So if I can leave you with anything, it's just this idea, like the whole ballot's important because things that happen in the state really affect us just as much as things going on in Washington.
Yeah, I feel that. Okay, sure.
Great.
Yeah, it's hard to get news on it in case you're looking out for it, but yeah.
Well, we've got some voter guides. Hopefully we can give information about voter guides too. So one more thing, if you willing to, I've got this QR code here on this piece of paper. If you want to scan this with your phone, you can get a reminder on your calendar on the first day of voting.
Okay, I got to get my phone. I'll be right back.
Okay, great. I'll wait. Thank you. And it sounds like you're going to support Dems. Thank you. Sounds like you're going to support Democrats up and down the ballot this year. Are you interested in helping out at all, making sure that we win these races?
Oh, we're real busy. I don't think we're going to have time to volunteer, but we'll vote. I'll take your candidate list there. That's very helpful. That's great.
Okay, great. Yeah, and thanks for being a voter, and thanks for voting for Democrats up and down the ballot this time. I appreciate your time talking to me.
Hey, thank you so much for coming out. I bet it's hard. It's hot out there today.
Yeah. It's going to be cooler soon. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks.
Bye. Okay. Okay. Let's try another one, and then we'll just have a few comments and let you try it.
And that was our easy one.
That was our easy one.
And a lot of them are not. A lot of them are supportive Democrats. So a lot of them will be pushing an open door. The people that are willing to talk to you, at least. Yeah.
Can we talk about this before moving on to the next one, or you want to just move on
Let's
to
do the next one and then have a conversation. Yeah. This one, that one is really illustrate that people really are not paying attention to down ballot races and don't understand the importance of them. So we do want to talk about that. And so this next one is going to be, Jonathan's going to be someone who's probably leans Democrat, but he's not really paying a lot of attention. Okay. Okay, knock, knock.
Hi.
Hi,
What's
hi.
going on? What do you need?
Hi, my name is Marilyn. I'm a volunteer with the Durham Democrats. Here's my
Okay.
button. And we're out talking to voters today because there's a big election coming up and want to know what voters are thinking about them. We know that a lot of our personal rights are on the line with this election. What's your thoughts these days about the election?
Well, I know politics is important, but I can't stand politicians. You know what I mean? Can't stand them.
Yeah. So meaning that they all seem the same to you? What is it? How do they come across?
Oh, yeah, a lot of I don't know. We we vote, and then it seems like none of their promises get upheld. It doesn't seem to make a big difference in my life, and so I don't pay that much attention to it for that reason.
Yeah. Are you paying attention at all to what they're promising this right now? What's going on in the presidential race?
I couldn't tell you exactly what. I haven't heard a lot of plans. Haven't heard a lot of plans, to be honest.
Okay. Does it feel like it's too early to find out, or just hard to find out, or?
I just have kind of been disappointed, and so I'm a lot less political these days.
Mm-hmm. So just feel like you're hunkering down and living your life without politics.
Yeah, it's like if you have a lump and you never get it checked out, then you're fine.
Mm. Wow, a lump. Sounds like underneath it might bother you. That we all this political stuff.
I mean, I know it's important. I'd like the country to be better. You just need to just not sure that I have a lot of power. I just don't feel like I have a lot of power in making stuff different. But
well, one of the reasons I'm out here is I just feel like it's really important to have these conversations, whether we agree or disagree on things. Just it's so hard to have political conversations. Even with your friends, it's hard if you disagree on politics, and it's kind of emotional even if you agree. So I think I just really want to have conversations so we can talk about this and come together and make this country better.
Well, that's very idealistic of you. I appreciate you that some people still feel that way. That's great.
Yeah. It's hard to be idealistic sometimes, isn't it?
Hard for me. It's like I said, it's just sometimes it's easier to live my life.
Yeah. Is there anything you're worried about with this election? What might happen if if Donald Trump wins versus Kamala Harris?
I don't know that much about Kamala. I mean, she's vice president, but I don't know what did she do. She seemed like she just disappeared for a while, and so I feel like she's kind of out of nowhere for me. But I'm tired of the Trump show, I guess. Tired. That's one thing that's just been a big turnoff. It's since he ran and everything's so nasty that it's hard to watch. It's hard to care because he's got both sides just being so nasty to each other.
Yeah, it is pretty hard. He's done a lot to divide us, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm supporting the Democrats. I think they're trying to bring people together, and the Republicans are trying to divide people and make us afraid of each other. And yeah, maybe I am idealistic, but I think we can make a difference if we all, and that's just how I feel. Like I'm voting because I feel like if we all vote and we all care about this country and we all vote, then we can make some changes together. especially because we're got Donald Trump on the ballot.
Well, he's won this state though, right? He won here.
By 1%, yeah,
Oh, really? By 1%.
1%.
I thought what, my family just I thought we were living in a kind of blue dot to red state, but
No, it's a pretty purple state. He won by 1%, and right now they're saying it's tied. It could go either way. So, there. Do you usually vote? You say you don't care about politics. Do you usually vote?
we vote. I vote sometimes. Sometimes I get a family member that wants to do it with me after church, and we get pulled into it. But yeah, I don't. I guess I can't say I vote in every election.
Were you planning to vote in this one?
Well, it sounds like I should. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Actually, I'm going to stop it here because we are wanting to give everyone the time to have some practice time. So, but I think we could have followed this conversation. I think it was. I think it was the kind of conversation you might expect, or at least some of the ideas that Jonathan was expressing are things that you might express. And sometimes people might be really just wanting to put their head in the sand about politics, but underneath they really do care. And so that's what I was trying to get at. So, Jonathan, how did it feel to you?
Yeah, I don't know if I was the perfect role play partner to make but well, we didn't rehearse these. We had some kind of outline for what the goals were. But yeah, you did a really good job. I think the first one was a really good demonstration of how you can use the script that we provide as an outline and accomplish all those goals. But Marilyn does a great job of making it her own. So it really does sound authentically like she's talking there. And the second conversation I think was a good example of I mean they're both good examples of listening first. Listening first. I don't think I gave you enough to hook on to dig your talons into in the second little role play there, but
I think we were just getting to it. I think you say you didn't give me enough, but I was trying to come up with enough questions that would get at it, and I think I was sort of feeling my way into trying to get some sense that you did care. And
yeah,
when I finally got to that, that's when the conversation started to happen.
Yeah, but you're asking different versions of what issues you care about as a voter, what motivates you to vote, but sort of more fluid in the context of what we were talking of what the voter was saying.
Yeah, if we have one or two comments, we can, but then I'd like to Jonathan help put people in maybe 2 breakout groups and just have you practice a little bit, maybe for I think 10 minutes is probably all we need for that.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Carol.
And so I'm an introvert. I have a hard time talking to people I don't know. I have a much easier time canvassing than I have talking to people on the telephone because I can see them and gauge their responses. Right. I know that canvassers never come to my door to ask what my opinion is. They are not, we are not knocking on, I mean, Marilyn, if you came to my door, I would know you weren't there to have a conversation. Like, you're not there to just have a conversation with some stranger you don't know. And I'm not really interested in having a conversation with a stranger I don't know. Like, your goal is to provide me with some sort of information. And so do most people who come to the door not think that, am I like an exception to this? Like, if somebody came to my door and started talking to me, asking me what my opinions were, and they just wanted to have a conversation, I'd be like, I have other things to do right now.
Yeah, or that's people's right,
Sure. But if the goal is to provide, like, would you like some info? It took a really long time to get to, we're here working on getting out the vote. And
well, if I was trying to give an example of someone who may not vote, he's not a regular voter. He was playing a role, not a regular voter. And I think part of the reason to have conversations like that is to get people thinking and talking about it. And you may not want to have conversations with a stranger, and I don't.
Do most people respond like with long conversations, or do they tend to be?
It varies.
If they don't have a lot of time, or if they're not into it, it'll be really easy for you to move along. you know,
I've also had half-hour conversations with
But like
But-
if somebody
but-
doesn't have a lot of time, you don't want to, I mean, like, how do you there surely are ways to engage people who don't have a lot of time where they don't say, okay, you know, I'm just busy right now. I'm not going to finish this conversation. You
Yeah,
might want to talk, but I don't. So how do you engage the people who don't want it, who aren't?
if they're not willing to engage, you move on to the next part of the script, you go along with it, and you give them information like you're saying. I mean, you can do that, but we're trying to practice. We're trying to do like a little bit more of an advanced training for when you get there's a few people that you'll get that'll be willing to talk to you for a little bit longer. And if they are willing to open up, that will stick in their brain more, you know, and it'll be, if to actually persuade someone who isn't excited about voting to being willing to vote, or persuade someone who isn't like sure who they're going to vote for your candidate, either of those kind of persuasion things, and not just to do a reminder, but to actually like to move somebody, it needs to be, you need to hear them out. They need to be willing to open up, be a little bit vulnerable, open up a little bit. Then you listen to them and empathize with them. Is kind of the only way a real persuasion is going to happen. But a lot of conversations will end up just being a reminder. We're trying to practice some instances when they give you the opportunity to talk to them a little bit deeper than that.
Okay. That makes sense. I feel like, yeah, I mean, I guess from my introvert point of view, if they're willing to talk, that makes it much easier for me than if I have to talk a lot. And it just seemed like these conversations were a lot of me having to talk a lot than the person on whose door I'm knocking.
Yeah,
So.
I was trying to give examples where the person, you have a hard time reading them at the beginning and knowing where they are. And so you ask questions, and, you know, most people don't get into long conversations, but I really find that on every canvas there and every phone bank I do, well, not everyone, most of them, there can be even as many as several people who just really appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation and to be heard and to be seen. I think people do not always feel seen and heard. But you're perfectly right about, you know, about having to gauge from the person. You don't want to, if what's most helpful is to use 2 minutes to give them some information, give them the QR code, remind them to vote up and down the ballot, like the scripts, you know, just stay close to the script. And that works great. But I like some of the challenges of trying to get people who are more disengaged.
Yeah.
And
today we are practicing the harder situations. Like
introverts are good listeners too. So you probably have some skills for drawing people out.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, I don't have enough experience canvassing to know if most of the people whose doors we knocked on were already aware of the issues and planning on voting, and we're happy to chat. But
yeah, the last canvas I was on, everyone was on board, but people were not aware of all the down ballot races. That's pretty common. So do you all want to do a couple practice role playing? Yes.
Let me put here in the chat, if you want to look at our script as an outline. So I'm going to put this in the chat so you'll have, so before you go into your breakout room, click on this link so that you can, yeah. And so this isn't a cage, this script. This is a good outline, but you can use this to make sure you have some basic structure to the conversation. And then I'll put folks in breakout rooms. So we hope everybody does a good practice here. So do your very best to be a good, you know, practice being the person at the door. Do your best to be the canvasser, and then switch roles here. So let me put.
I just wanted to say this has been super helpful, and I unfortunately have to leave.
Okay.
But Liz lives around the corner from me, so we can practice later.
Okay.
I really appreciate all of your insights and on how to have these more extensive, complex conversations.
Me too.
Yes, and here's my other half is also listening. I was
Sure.
wondering, do you have materials that you'll be providing to us that you can send to us or that you shared? Or are we just getting like
Well-
this script or I don't,
What would you like?
Are you in Durham?
yeah, we are.
Okay, I'm gonna put this link again. The easiest way is to come to one of our events. So if you want, before you get off, copy and paste this link here, durhamdemocrats.org/volunteer-events. You can also find it by going to durhamdemocrats.org and clicking on getting involved. There's a calendar.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, it's not full. It's September. The events aren't up yet for September, but they will be very soon.
Mhm.
Okay,
So what do you think, Jonathan, if 3 people are here?
thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. Sorry you have to leave, but thank you for coming. Do you think we should do breakout group or not? Just stay in one room?
Well, do you want to, maybe it's easier for one of us to play the
Carol, did
person
you want to
who-
say something?
Yes, as I said earlier, I'm not really going to be canvassing, so you really have 2 people who really actually need to practice.
Okay,
So they
yeah.
can just practice with one another. And I'll just sign off.
Okay, thanks,
It's
Carol.
very interesting. I appreciate it. Have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
thank you, Carol. Thank you,
Okay,
thank you.
bye-bye.
Okay, we'll just stay together. Marilyn, why don't you play the, I did too, where I was
Okay,
playing a
okay.
person at the door, but you might have your own spin on it. So I'll
Okay.
let you just to lead these
I'll be
role
the voter.
plays.
Does
Yeah, you
one
be
of
the
you-
voter for both these folks. So we just pick the who you
Yeah,
want.
so Liz or Frank, would you like to try me? I won't be too hard on you.
Looks like Frank is ready.
Oh, Frank's
I'm
ready.
ready. Oh,
Okay, the introvert has deferred to
yeah,
the
I'll
extrovert.
knock on your door. You come to the door, right? You're there at the door.
Hello, yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Frank Turner. I'm a former Marine, a Vietnam veteran, and I'd like to talk to you about the upcoming presidential election.
Wow, okay. Well, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I'd like to tell you that how much I feel that this present administration has done for the veterans versus what Donald Trump has done, what he thinks of veterans, and by his own actions, what he did by 5 deferments, or people like myself that weren't connected like that chose to serve our country.
Yeah, well, thank you for your service. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah, I'm of the same generation, so I remember those times, the Vietnam War.
So I will hope that we will see you at the polls on November the 5th, and you'll not only vote for our Vice President Harris, but that you'll also take a look at the down ballot, because we've learned from previous elections, the down ballot is just as important as who's on top of our
What do you mean by down ballot?
list.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, what we learned when we lost, we may win the presidency, but if we don't have like here in North Carolina, when you have a super majority in both the House and the Senate, that just makes the governor almost useless. They are stripped him with his powers, with a lot of his powers, to appoint people to very important jobs, and consequently, it really weakens our party in this state.
Well, but I agree with you about that. We're in Durham right now, and all the Durham representatives for the legislature are already Democrats. Are there other people that
The Supreme Court judges, our state representatives, our state senators, and even down to city commissioners or mayor. It's important. And I think we as Democrats have not paid attention to that in the past as we should now. And I'm just not only, there's only really one choice for a good, stable, patriotic government for the leader of that. It will be, confident will be President Kamala Harris. But I just want to encourage people that might think about voting for her, but look beyond that and look down the ballot, because that is important if we're going to preserve our democracy. That all of those, you can look at other states like Georgia, what's happening in Georgia with the election committees and commissions that are changing the voting rules and all that. So we have a big job this next election.
Well, thank you for telling me all that. Yeah, I guess I need to do some research on some of the other candidates, because I don't even know who all those down ballot races are. I mean, I know my state senator is already Democratic, but definitely want to have a governor that's Democratic, and I'll think about all those other too.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, even though you were not using the talking points on this piece of paper, I think that'll work. I mean, I don't think we obviously, most canvassers can't say I'm a veteran and talk about what it means for veterans. So, but actually that was so folksy and like sincere that I think that would be.
Well, you know, people respect, I think it's kind of reemerged in recent years. People respect veterans and more than ever. You know, if I got out of the Marine Corps in 1969 after serving 13 months in Vietnam in 67 and 68. So I knew what it was then. And, you know, talk about protesters. I had two sister-in-laws that were really protested a lot. And, you know, but we've all come together, and they were right and I was wrong, but I never admit that to them. But anyway, I've just noticed, and I feel comfortable.
I think that's a really good, so my comment is, I think it's a really good way to begin. I like the beginning, and, you know, it just got me to respect you and know why you were there. And at the same time, after a while, I was wondering if you, there were some questions you could ask me to help draw me out and help me understand. Like I ended up asking you, what does down ballot mean? And I felt like I was asking you after a while, I was asking you questions, and if you can use that as an introduction and then start to try to figure out what I know and what I need to know, I think that would be helpful too.
Okay. I mean, by all rights, I should be a Republican. I was a railroad executive and for 40 plus years, and a former Marine and all that, and I should be a Republican, but I'm not.
You should be a Democrat. You should be.
I know it.
Yeah, but I think they wouldn't be as quick to say, I don't want to talk to you. If you start out with I'm a veteran,
right?
I'm coming from that perspective, and yeah, as a veteran, I can't support Trump. I think that's pretty powerful. Marilyn's right though. It's good to we want to ask a couple questions of the voter, get them to talk a little bit.
Yeah, find out what I know and don't know.
Point well received.
Yeah, got it. Liz, you want to try me?
Sure.
Okay. Did you just knock?
I just knocked. Did you get? I've learned you have to knock at least 5 times to get people to answer doors.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Liz, and I'm Nancy, and we're out today working with Durham Democrats, and we're just out and about talking to people about the upcoming election and trying to get some information out. Do you have a plan for voting this coming election?
Oh my gosh. When does it start? I don't know. I keep hearing about the election, but I don't really know.
So the election day is the first, I will have to check the dates,
I don't know.
but the first Tuesday of November. Early voting in Durham starts I think it's October 17th, but I assume that I would have that on a piece of paper someplace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you usually vote on election. Do you have a preference between election day or early voting?
Oh, I like to go early voting because then it's not crowded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm a fan of early voting too, because it's less crowded. There are fewer lines. There are more places where you can vote. All that's good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how are you feeling about the election?
Oh, nervous. They keep
Yeah.
saying it's gonna be a close election.
Yeah, it is that's scary, isn't it? But it's gonna be a close election.
It's
I
scary.
think it's really, and that's another reason to get out early, vote early. But, my understanding is that Durham has had enough voters who were registered as Democrats and didn't vote in the last election. Had they shown up, the view in North Carolina would be very different than it is now. It'd be much more representative. So I really do think it's important. I really do think that your vote counts. Is that incentive to vote, or do you feel like?
I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote. It's just that yeah, I get hopeful and then I get scared that nothing's gonna change, and I get hopeful nothing's gonna change, and but yeah, I'm going to vote, and there's no way I can vote for a Republican right now. I feel like they the party has lost its soul completely right now. It's just
Yeah, I know there's some difficult things that we're going through right now. I hear you on that. And it's hard to make change, but I do feel like one of the most effective ways we can make change is by thinking about the candidates who are down ballot. I mean, the presidential election is really, really important. And but I think a lot of people will come out every 4 years and vote for the president, but there's so many things that we can do on the local level that make a really big difference in how we live our lives and that affect us. I actually have information on the candidates who are running down ballot. Would you be interested in that?
Yeah, thank you. That helps because it's hard to find out about them, especially like the judges. You hear that the courts are not good right now, but when you try to find out what the candidates for judges are about, it's hard to. They just sort of say, yeah, we're going to defend the Constitution, and
yeah. I mean, I know, like from we lost the Supreme Court in North Carolina. Democrats lost the majority there in the last election. I think it's really important that we take it back.
Yeah.
I think the card that I just gave you, if you click on this link, it will take you to information about the candidates so you can learn more about them. I know it feels strange to vote for someone you don't know much about.
Yeah.
I know I'm planning on voting blue for the judges too. And am I correct that they don't actually list party affiliation for the judges?
List the party.
They do. Okay. But I really encourage you to learn more about that. So this is one way to do that.
Thank you, because I really haven't been thinking about that very much. So I appreciate that, and if I can get some information about these other races. I mean, as I said, I can't imagine myself voting for a Republican right now, but it's nice not to go in there blind,
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that the judges also often get left, like people tend not to vote when it comes to that. So you've heard about who's running for the governor, you've heard about who's running for maybe attorney general, and we tend to know less and less as we go down. So I think that it's really important to learn more. We also have this QR code. I don't know if you have any interest in receiving a reminder when early voting starts. It's a one-time reminder if you want to scan the QR code.
I am so busy that if I don't have reminders on my phone, I don't do anything. I don't eat breakfast. So
okay, well, here, go ahead and scan that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Also, I don't know if I know you just said that you're busy. Are you interested in helping to get out the vote this year? Would you interested in any volunteer opportunities?
Maybe, but I have a little time here and there, not like every week or anything. Maybe.
I know with Durham Democrats, you can sign up for a single shift, you can sign up for multiple shifts. I think they'd be, and you're welcome to just learn more. You don't have to, this wouldn't be a commitment to actually volunteer, but it's an opportunity to get more information.
Yeah.
If you're interested in, and you can read the emails or ignore them, whatever you want to do.
Great. Okay.
So if you want to, I could write things down, but if you want, you can just fill out add your name and email address to this, and we'll we'll get in touch with you. If that's correct, I'm not sure. I have to read the script.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think you have to add it to the
quickie thing, yeah.
But it's easier to write it down first, that's fine. Okay, I will do that.
Okay, great. Well, it's been lovely talking to you. Do you have any other questions that I'm
No,
might be able to
thanks
answer?
for coming to talk. Sometimes it's just nice to know that there are other Democrats around, you know, I mean, my friends are Democrats, but you just feel like you read the news and you think, oh my God, there aren't enough of us. So it's just sometimes good to talk to.
And I think sometimes we lose track of that, especially in Durham, where I think we're kind of the beating blue heart in a red state. So it sometimes feels comfortable, but just want to really emphasize the importance of voting and encouraging your friends to vote too. So thanks very much.
Oh, well, thanks for coming to my door. I do appreciate it. Glad
Sure.
you're out there on these hot days.
Yeah, have a good rest of the day.
Okay, thanks. Okay,
Okay.
great.
Well, I think you did a great job of accomplishing the goals of the script, but putting, making it your own and being
Yeah,
very conversational and natural about it.
yeah. And I felt you were tuned into me and also gave me some good information too. You know, didn't probe too much, but sort of figured out enough what I needed to just give me what I needed. So yeah, great, thank you.
Thanks.
So we are coming to the end of our time here. Any final thoughts?
So I guess the next step is to look on the calendar and
Yeah, sign up to
Go over it.
volunteer. I should just demonstrate how to do this to make it obvious. Hold on a second.
I'll also send a follow-up email to everybody, so we'll have a link in it, but
Oh,
go ahead,
hold on.
Jonathan.
Yeah, so it's DurhamDemocrats.org. And I sent you the DurhamDemocrats.org/volunteer-events, but it's either this big get involved button or you click get involved and then volunteer events. But if you click this big get involved button, that'll take you to this calendar. So yeah, we had events every single day in August, and we will also in September, but September's not quite filled up yet. So you look for one that starts with door knocking, if that's what you're willing to do. Click on it, and then you see when you click on the event, it kind of opens up and it says sign up. So we'd really like you to click on the sign up link and then fill out a little form to sign up, so we know how many people are coming and whatnot, and you'll get reminders that way. That's how you do that.
Okay, one other question, kind of about the logistics of it, but are you aware of the neighborhood where people are going in that there's no covenants that say, no door-to-door solicitation? I know we live in a Del Webb community here in Carolina Arbors at Briar Creek, and it's, very strict about door-to-door solicitation, whether it's political or religious or commercial.
Well, yeah, we're not going to send people from Carolina Arbors to go to Carolina Arbors.
No, I don't,
because
no, I know that,
but
I just use
besides that
as an
particular
example.
development, yeah, I mean, my neighborhood has a no soliciting sign at the front of it. Really, like all developments that are even a little bit nice have a no soliciting sign at the beginning. So you need to know that's not legally enforceable at all. And what we're doing is protected by the First Amendment, and HOAs have no ability to limit people's First Amendment rights, except for the homeowners who signed a contract with them. But other people, it's constitutionally protected speech, and it's not soliciting because we're not asking for any money or selling anything. But even then, actually, like we have a no soliciting sign. People come to my door and try and sell me cable because there's no law against soliciting in Durham, even if there's a posted sign. So it's really, that is not something to worry about by itself.
No, that's really good information though, because
if someone has a no soliciting sign on their door, you can decide how brave you are. Again, it's not a legal statement, but if it would ruin your day, if they barked at you and said, "Didn't you see the sign?" and you had to say, "Oh no, sorry, I didn't. I apologize. I'm new to this." If that's all that's going to happen, And actually, a lot of times they do not even mention their sign. Like if they mean no soliciting that I don't want. Like, and so, you know, so if they're a Democrat and they support you and they see that you're from the Democratic Party, maybe they don't actually mind. So actually, a lot of the times, even if there's a door on their side, but if you're new to it and you want to be for your own mental health, skip the ones that say no soliciting on their door. That makes sense to me. But
That may attract me.
but the signs at the front are like paper
Okay.
tigers.
Well, that's
And-
really good information. No,
and I don't care when people come to my door, even though I happen to, whatever, by HOA put up some sign. That doesn't mean that I think that,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, we can't skip developments with no soliciting signs because it's like most of them, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, Frank. Thank you, Liz, and for hanging in there for this time. And I hope, yeah.
We hope we see you. We hope you come out and canvas with us.
Yeah, yeah.
I will be there.
I will send a
Great.
follow-up email out. I might wait a day or two till the recording of this gets online. So I'm going to send it out to people who couldn't make it as well. But otherwise, well, at that point, you'll have my email and you can ask me questions. So
Thanks for doing this.
yeah, thanks, Liz. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks for sticking around. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Good night.
Good night. Good
Bye.
night.